All right, and now to this morning's roundtable. Good to have with me Dennis Archer Jr., the CEO of the Ignition Media Group, former member of the Detroit City Council, Sheila Cockrell, back with us, the editor of the Michigan Chronicle, Keith Owens, with us again, and the columnist who covers Detroit development, John Gallagher. John, thanks for coming. You're recovering nicely, I'm sure, from the shoulder surgery. Let me start with you, because you've written quite a bit about not just the soccer idea, but as the city is trying to rethink that entire 375 entryway into Detroit, this basically decides that, doesn't it?
Well, it would, and I think we all agree, all else being equal, and you have to look at the details, but certainly that Gratiot entry into Detroit should not be, in my opinion, a criminal justice center, which is the antithesis of lively, walkable urbanism. Gilbert's right that not the stadium necessarily, but all the stuff that goes with it, all the shopping, all the all the restaurants and all the apartments would be a much livelier urban scene than a criminal justice, jail and courthouse. So, but all the numbers have to work out.
And Keith, the idea, which is now dead, of putting it out in Mound Road seemed to completely miss the people who need access to go visit people at the jail, who have to be availed of the courts, all those kind of things. That seemed like a horrible.
Well, it was a horrible idea, and I think that's the important thing, is that once again, I understand the thing about urbanism and having things look nice and lively downtown, but people, we do need to think about the people who have to get there, and it's not very, and in terms of our transportation system, which is not great, we need to think about where is the closest place where people can get to via public transportation, which is next to the bus hub. So I think that that's very important.
In fact, if it goes to this new location, which is certainly better for that, we would have to think transport, because right now I don't believe there's any transit that goes
I don't
right
think so,
there.
no.
Yeah. Dennis, your thoughts on where we are on this? And I want to quickly point out, as Warren Evans was leaving the studio, he reminded me that we're only having this conversation because they're in a far better financial situation than they were in not too long ago. He said we couldn't have talked about buying a used car.
That's right.
Much less what we're the scale we're on now.
I look at it, Devin, with multiple hats. First as an investor downtown, and so as a business person downtown, of course it would make more sense to have some sort of development other than a criminal justice center. So whether that is a soccer stadium, whether it's a mixed-use office and residential, retail, I think it's better off for everyone. I look at it as a City of Detroit resident. And with that hat on, I would also be in favor of it if it makes sense to us as Wayne County citizens. And then as a father, I love to take my kids down to a game. I think we are the beneficiary of having someone in Warren Evans that takes his fiduciary responsibility very seriously. And I think that he realizes and has articulated to date that he is going to do, despite what he thinks about soccer or anything else, what's in the best interest of us as Wayne County residents. And so I'm really interested in sitting back and watching Dan Gilbert's team and Warren's team negotiate, and hopefully, in my opinion, that comes out with something else there other than this jail site.
You've had to make a lot of these kinds of decisions over the years as an elected representative. So if you were on the county commission right now, where's the devil that Gary Warrenchuk mentioned in the details?
Well, it's going to show up in what I call the definitive documents that are part of this plan, and in the operational savings and operational savings credit agreement. Those will be the key documents. As a concept, I think it's absolutely well worth investigating. It has, one of the reasons I really like it is I read the document, and the attention that's going to be paid in terms of planning the buildings, to light, to making it an accessible, easy sort of an environment that's friendly and open and welcoming to the people who have to use it. I mean, if you've ever gone in the Wayne County Jail, that is not a place that shouts welcome. Or even, Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, they were not built in eras where things like paying attention to how people felt or experienced the space mattered. This document does. This HOK is highly regarded for building criminal justice sites. They're part of the plan here. So I mean, because if you look around and talk about light and color, I mean, wait, we're talking about building a jail.
How welcoming I want a jail to be. That's an interesting thought.
Well, no, but if you got to go,
if you've got business there, I totally understand what you mean. I want to talk a little bit about the skepticism about Dan Gilbert, Keith. He has clearly revolutionized what's happened downtown. I believe there's 17,000 more people working downtown than back when he started all of this. That's clearly a benefit, but is it infecting the community, the neighborhoods, the other parts of the area other than downtown, that we would hope that it would. Are you seeing that?
Well, no. I mean, in the sense of the neighborhoods, no. I mean, Dan Gilbert's focus is downtown. You know, and I don't think he makes any bones about that. So I think in terms of the neighborhoods being thrilled about soccer coming downtown, I don't think you're going to hear a lot about that. You know, I think that this is what he's looking at is hoping that this will spill over some kind of way. You know, and I've always been kind of a skeptic in terms of, you know, trickle down, in terms of what goes for downtown goes for the neighborhoods. I wouldn't necessarily entrust him to say, okay, now let's send Dan Gilbert to the neighborhoods. But in terms of what he's doing, I think that's specific to, you know, downtown. And I don't know that all, and I think the other thing, the kind of skepticism is in terms of what he's proposed, you know, what he's saying, okay, for $300 million, I will give you a $400 million. And I'm saying, but at the same time, okay, that's what you're saying. You know, it's worth $400 million. I haven't quite seen that yet. So, you know, we'll see.
John, I guess I've kind of been on the side of where if you have 17,000 more people working downtown, that's 17,000 more people paying a Detroit income tax. Somewhere along the line, that's helping turn the lights on in a neighborhood somewhere. It seems to me, at least, I mean, that may not be as direct a trickle down as we want to see, but that's got to be good, doesn't it?
Right. And Gilbert has made the point that when he moved Quicken downtown 6 years ago, he had 75 of his employees living in the city, and now he's got about 3,000 of his employees living in the city. So he thinks that this spillover is real. It doesn't feel like that necessarily if you're in the neighborhoods, but you know the neighborhoods benefit from more this fine grain mosaic with better street lights and fill the potholes and better bus routes and you know job training programs, whereas downtown benefits from these enormous you know meteorite strikes, and we get an arena, you know so it's a different kind of scale between downtown and the neighborhoods.
Dennis, your thoughts on Dan? You know Dan Gilbert now pretty well.
I do.
But there is this weird, I keep hearing this conversation on the radio about that he owns too much, that it's all in the hands of too few. But I think that's how American cities have always been built. They've all got their Carnegies, their Astors, their on and on.
Let me say a couple of things. Number one, I think that any building owner downtown would be open to any of the five of us approaching them with a checkbook. And so the fact that he steps up and uses his personal money when he doesn't need to invest, that shouldn't be held against him because it's a capitalistic society and anybody can go write a checkbook. And you may not be able to buy and put hundreds of millions of dollars in the First National Building, but there's plenty of 2- and 3-story edifices downtown that one of us could go put a pool of people together to go buy. So I don't buy into that whatsoever. I will say that, you know, over time, I'm not too sure that political leadership has done, and this is for everyone, this goes back, I would even say back in my father's administration, have not done the best job at articulating to all of the community how these developments downtown or in Midtown, you know, or around Wayne State benefit them specifically. So if someone was to say, this jail site, this arena, this office, Microsoft coming downtown, is going to mean this much more money into our general fund, which will allow us to do this in your neighborhoods. I think that's part of the problem, not understanding that. Secondarily, I think that there is a momentum, I believe, that is being caused by the confidence that's instilled with people seeing somebody do it downtown. I live near 7 Mile and Livernois, and there's all sorts of great announcements and construction going on there.
Sure is.
And it's going down at 6 Mile and Livernois, it's going around near Rosedale Park, and I think that's in large part due to the confidence that's instilled in people by what's going on in the 7.2 square mile radius down here.
Yeah, interesting. We've got about 2 minutes left, and I wanted to get something we didn't get to talk about last week when Mayor Duggan announced his intentions, not to anyone's surprise, I don't think, Sheila, that he's going to run for another term. How do you expect the mayoral race? Is there going to be one? How's this going to shape up?
I think Mike Duggan is running 24/7, 360 right through till the November election.
Anybody else, I guess?
Well, there's a laundry list of names that are out there. I don't see right now who's really going to be a serious threat. But what's important is that this mayor is going to run hard. He's working for every single vote. I was at the announcement on Saturday, and I mean he wants to take on front and center the education, the issue with the governor on closing schools. That's leadership.
Keith, your thoughts on this?
I think the same thing. I mean, I think that Mayor Duggan has been, in terms of the way that he ran in the beginning, in terms of just going neighbor by neighbor with all the forums he held in people's homes, but he continued that. He didn't just stop as soon as he got elected. I mean, he continued that, so I think that's smart campaigning. So he's got a base, and he'll be moving forward with his agenda.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the vulnerability would be if somebody runs against him, if a big name steps up. I'm just not sure where the vulnerability is.
that come from?
So I think it's Duggan's to lose.
Yeah.
Right, and where's the money?
Dennis, I got about 10 seconds left there.
I agree 100%. I look forward to the political process and the important topics being on the forefront, but he'll be reelected in November.
All right. Back with more in just a minute. Quick break. This is Flashpoint.